Hi everyone, and thanks so much for joining me on the Big Picture podcast. My name's PJ Lynch and I'm the Laureate Nanog. That's the Children's Laureate for Ireland. My job as Laureate is a very easy one. It's to share my love and my passion for children's books with you guys. But I'm coming from it very much from the pictorial side. First I want to talk about this book. I was asked by Owen Colfer, a famous writer who was the previous Laureate Nanog. He asked me to illustrate this book. It had lots and lots of different stories by all sorts of very famous Irish authors. And you can see there was going to be a lot of pictures in it. And I decided I needed to use a very fast technique for that. So I thought I would use a technique I hadn't used for years, which is this. Charcoal on grey board. The other things you need if you're going to draw that way are you need a nice cloth, that's very important, or tissue. You draw into that with a rubber like this. See how that just lifts off? And you're going to need some white chalk. It's just the kind of chalk that your teacher uses on the blackboard at school. And I find that this technique, it was really quick to get results and it created lovely atmospheric effects. So I've fallen in love with this technique all over again. So that's what I'm going to try and share with you today. This technique, it can be used for very serious atmospheric drawings. You can get a lot of detail if you work as big as this. You can get a lot of detail with these, and I find that it's pretty good for doing some kind of funny drawing. So I might try and do a kind of a caricature today. Let's wait and see what comes out. At this stage, I'm just looking for something to appear. I'm getting an idea. It's sort of looking a bit like Humpty Dumpty at the minute. I'm not sure if it's going to stay that way, but we'll see. If you want to make something a little bit rounded, charcoal is absolutely brilliant for it. And if this is going to be Humpty Dumpty, I think I'd put a highlight up here. And make it nice and soft with the brush. Yeah, I might stick with this. I've never drawn Humpty Dumpty before, so it's a nice change for me. Yeah, that's shaping up okay. I kind of like this. But no, if I was starting again, I would have had it much higher up so that we could see the wall. But sometimes you make the wrong choice at the start and you have to adapt to fit it. So I'm going to adapt by putting his legs way up here. And you can go really, really black with this stuff. It's great. Could make his eyes a lot smaller than that, I think. If you can hear snoring in the background, it's my dogs. They're both over there having a good old sleep to themselves. And you see that whenever you really want to go really bright, you just dig in deep with this and leave a lot of chalk sitting up there. Now the problem with highlights, there is a problem with highlights. They can be very effective, but people fall in love with the white chalk and they just do it everywhere. So you have to put it on and then decide if you've done enough or if you've done too much, and then maybe take it out again. Sometimes you don't need to go with the white chalk, you know, I'm just indicating his teeth using the rubber here. Here's a little tip, whenever you're drawing someone smiling, just make the edge of the mouth nice and dark like that. Using the rubber again. And you see how if you work on a grey background, and if you've got something like charcoal, which goes all the way to black, and you've got something like chalk, which goes all the way to white, then you've got control of every tone between black, through all these greys, and all the way to white. So you can do a picture that looks as dynamic and as 3D as a photograph. If you get all these right, you've got to use your fingers a lot, make those smudgy effects. I love this because it makes everything a little bit imprecise. Humpty Dumpty, you know, an egg with a face on it is kind of a bit creepy. I just want to get a tone in here. I'm not sure if it's going to be dark or light in the end, but it's important just to show the difference between that and that. So I think this side is certainly going to be fairly dark. So where should the pants be? Kind of like that, maybe? Depends if we're looking down on him or if we're looking up at him, it would be more like that. but the way we're looking at his face, I think it means we're looking a little bit down on it, tiny bit. Does he have ears? I think he probably should have tiny little ears. And I'm wondering where his arms are going to go. I think I'm going to have them right here. Maybe his hands sitting here. Let's get a tone in here. And then just soften that in. And even though this is very caricatured, I'm thinking a lot about the logic of the anatomy. Bizarre as it is, it has to have its own kind of logic. And I think if you get things like that right, you can make the craziest kind of fantasy seem more believable. I think sometimes he has a little collar, doesn't he? And you see how quickly you can indicate folds and things using the rubber, and just indicating where the light's falling on the top of his legs there. Remember what I said about going to full white? With chalk, you just lay it on really heavy and thick, and it just sits there gleaming. It's one of my favorite things about this technique. Just softening a lot of things down as I go. It gives it more atmosphere, you know. It's really good to stand back and have a look at your picture every now and again. Gives you a good idea what you might be doing wrong. And these hands could be sort of laid out like that. Do you notice how this, like that area, it's not as intensely white as this, and nor is this, because the light is coming down from this side. You can see that's why the light's coming this way, it hits here, and all the shadows are underneath this side. So that's why this is more intensely white. And the light just catches a little bit here, and the top of that collar there. I think I'll be making this a bit bigger. And I'll probably give it a pattern at some stage, but I'm not sure what. I'm going to do a few more little bits. I think I need to work on those hands a little bit. And And I always like to put a little bit of text in because I'm all about words and pictures. It's good to draw it backwards so that you get the right distance. You know, if I started over here, I might end up with the Y going over his head. So that's why I did it backwards. And I like freehand lettering. It's kind of fun. So there he is, my version of Humpty Dumpty. I hope you enjoyed watching as much as I enjoyed doing the drawing. I'm very happy with him. He looks pretty cool. As long as no one says it looks like a self-portrait of me. See you next time on the Big Picture Podcast.